options at the top of the draft with Ohio State receiver Carnell Tate and Arizona State superstar wide receiver Jordan Tyson. I think these are some great options to either the Browns could get rid of Jerry Jeudy or move him to a less role on the.
And the problem with Jerry Jeudy is he does not have a glaring strength. He doesn't have a guy where he's going to route you up. Like, it's like, oh, this cat is so precise. Like, he runs timing routes and he's open. He doesn't create a ton of separation.
After a rough season that fell way short of expectations, the Cleveland Browns are seriously weighing the idea of moving on from Jerry Jeudy as their #1 wide receiver. Inside league circles, there is growing talk that the front office wants a real top-tier playmaker, someone who can actually elevate the offense and back up their future franchise quarterback, Shedeur Sanders, the right way. This move did not come out of nowhere. The frustration has been building week after week, and now the front office looks ready to flip the script on the entire receiving room. And yeah, we have to address the obvious issue here. Jerry Jeudy's season was not just bad, it was a full-on breakdown by NFL standards. This was not a small dip or a stretch of tough matchups. Jeudy ended the year with some of the ugliest numbers you will see from a starting wide receiver anywhere in the league. The stats are brutal, and they spell out exactly how things unraveled in Cleveland. As one call put it, up, throw for Jeudy, and Jeudy has it intercepted. Jeudy finished the season ranked second worst in the entire NFL when it came to drop passes. Let that sink in. Out of every starting receiver across all 32 teams, he dropped the ball more than almost anyone else. For a supposed WR1, that is a massive red flag. These were not circus catches or impossible throws either. A lot of these were clean, routine passes that hit him right in the hands and still ended up on the turf.
Trying to make a play, wide open. See 3 defenders right there out for the cut cross field. I ain't feeling behind me. Simple as that.
These were supposed to be simple, stress-free completions, yet the ball kept hitting the ground. That kind of mistake wears on an organization fast, especially when the entire offense is being shaped around a young quarterback like Shedeur Sanders. When you're trying to grow a QB early in his career, the last thing you want is hesitation caused by unreliable targets. Confidence is fragile at that stage, and every drop chips away at it. What Cleveland ended up getting from Jerry Jeudy was uneven play, costly mistakes at key moments, and output that honestly looks more fitting for a depth receiver. That is a serious issue when you are supposed to be the main guy leading the receiving room. This is why the Browns holding the 6th overall pick in the upcoming draft matters so much. People around the league believe Andrew Berry and the front office are lining up to use that selection on a high-end wide receiver prospect who can change the tone of the offense. A move like that would instantly give Shedeur Sanders a real threat on the outside, someone defenses have to plan around, and it would quietly push Jeudy out of the spotlight. Berry has been the one steering these decisions, and he has made it clear he is not afraid to act when something is not working. Bringing in Jamari Thrash during the season was a signal that patience has limits. Thrash showed flashes that caught the attention of fans and hinted at what this offense could become with better pieces around Shedeur. Now Berry is taking that same mindset and scaling it up by hunting for a true WR1 through the draft.
Obviously, we wish we had more success, while Joe was under center here. We didn't. It's unfortunate.
But just to follow up, what do you think of this group of wide receivers that are on?
At the center of all this is a single priority, protecting the investment in Shedeur Sanders. The organization has put real capital into finding their franchise quarterback, and they are not willing to let shaky receiver play stall his development. Berry understands the formula. Young quarterbacks need targets they can trust, players who are in the right spot, secure the catch, and keep drives alive. Jerry Jeudy has not consistently checked those boxes, and the problems go deeper than just a few bad plays. Sources close to the situation say Jerry Jeudy struggled to adjust to the direction the Browns wanted to take while building the offense around Shedeur Sanders. When a coaching staff rolls out a new vision, especially one centered on a young quarterback, they need full cooperation from everyone involved. That expectation is even higher for a top wide receiver who is supposed to set the tone. Behind the scenes, Jeudy was reportedly hesitant about those changes, and that hesitation raised concerns inside the building. Coaches and executives did not take kindly to the pushback, and it quietly started to affect how they viewed his role long-term. As that resistance continued, Jeudy's standing within the organization began to slip fast. The Browns started exploring other options, shifting concepts toward different players, and slowly pulling him away from being the focal point of the passing game. This was not a sudden move, but a steady transition away from relying on him as the primary target. You could see signs of it during games as the season went on. Jeudy's involvement dropped, his targets declined, and his role in weekly game plans kept shrinking. While the on-field struggles were already an issue, what really hurt his position with the team were reports of tense moments during and after games. There were several situations where Jeudy had a chance to step up as a veteran presence for a young offense still finding its rhythm. Instead, when plays broke down, he was reportedly vocal towards Shedeur Sanders, placing blame in moments where responsibility was shared or unclear. For a young quarterback trying to settle into the league, that kind of dynamic can be damaging. Support and trust matter early, and when those are missing, the cracks start to show fast. Inside the Browns organization, this behavior did not sit well at all. When a team is trying to carefully develop a franchise quarterback, the worst thing possible is a veteran player chipping away at that quarterback's confidence or stirring up a negative locker room vibe. Leadership is not optional in that situation, and Jerry Jeudy's actions made it clear he was not providing the leadership expected from a supposed WR1. This situation becomes even more concerning when you factor in that Shedeur Sanders is still adjusting to the speed, pressure, and mental demands of the NFL game. If that alone was not enough to put Jeudy's future in Cleveland on thin ice, he made things worse with his own words. In a recent interview, Jeudy openly criticized Shedeur Sanders, publicly shifting blame onto a young quarterback while avoiding accountability for his own visible struggles on the field. Given how his season actually played out, that move raised eyebrows across the league. When you break down the film, the problems were clear. Jeudy regularly struggled to create separation on routes. Defensive backs stayed glued to him. He failed to get open when the offense needed him most. On top of that, passes that hit him square in the hands too often ended up incomplete. These were not low-percentage throws or broken plays. They were basic opportunities that an NFL starting receiver is expected to finish. Yet despite all of that, Jeudy still chose to point fingers publicly at Shedeur Sanders. In this league, that is the kind of move that fast-tracks a player out of town. Front offices can work with a lot. They can be patient with players who are underperforming, especially if those players stay accountable, put in the work, and act like good teammates. What they will not tolerate is a player who struggles, refuses to own it, and then puts a young franchise quarterback on blast. That combination is a disaster waiting to happen and reflects a serious lack of professionalism. This is why the Browns looking to draft a young wide receiver is not just about adding talent. It is about resetting the culture. They want players who buy into the system, put the team first, and help lift Shedeur Sanders up instead of dragging him down. The goal is simple. Bring in receivers who celebrate his big moments, support him during mistakes, and grow with him over time. Not players who dodge blame when things go sideways. Because of that, Jerry Jeudy's future in Cleveland now looks extremely shaky, and it is clear this situation goes far beyond box score stats. Yes, the drops are a real issue. Yes, the lack of separation is a problem, but the attitude, the behavior, and the refusal to take responsibility may matter even more to the organization.
What did you think of Shedeur's performance just overall and some of the progress that maybe he made with you guys on offense?
There's something that we need to fix up, as an offense as a whole. It's hard to tell coming out of the game. It may feel better than what it looked like, so we got to watch the film and see what we need to do better.
Teams can coach technique. They can adjust schemes. What they cannot do is force someone to be a good teammate. The Browns are standing at a turning point. With Shedeur Sanders under center, they have a real chance to build something meaningful. But that only works if the pieces around him are right. Right now, the organization believes a change is necessary. Holding the 6th overall pick gives Cleveland flexibility. Whether it is selecting a top college receiver or packaging picks to move for an elite prospect, Andrew Berry has options. And based on what is being said behind closed doors, he is ready to use them to give Shedeur Sanders the support he needs. This offseason is shaping up to be a defining one as the Browns try to surround their young quarterback with the right talent to compete in one of the league's toughest divisions. Around the league, people are already reading between the lines. When a front office starts sending quiet signals like this, it usually means a decision has already been made internally. The Browns are not just exploring options for depth, they are actively preparing for life without Jerry Jeudy as a featured piece in this offense. Teams do this all the time when they feel a player no longer fits the direction they are heading. Roles get reduced, targets disappear, public messaging shifts, and that is exactly what has been happening in Cleveland. The coaching staff has been placing more emphasis on players who buy into the system and show consistency week after week. From a business standpoint, it makes sense. The Browns invested heavily in Shedeur Sanders, and everything now revolves around maximizing that investment. That means putting reliable, coachable, team-first players around him. If a receiver creates friction or demands a certain role without earning it, that becomes a problem fast.
At great off-press coverage, he's not really a 50-50 go up and contest the guy. He's not really a dude that's shifty, that can just run by you. So he
There is also the financial side of this situation. Jeudy's contract is no longer viewed as team-friendly when matched with his production and off-field tension. That alone puts pressure on the front office to consider alternatives, whether through the draft or potential trade discussions. At this point, it feels less like a question of if the Browns move on and more like when. The organization is clearly laying the groundwork for a reset at the position. They want speed, separation, effort, and accountability. Anything less does not align with where this team believes it is headed. What makes this situation even more telling is how the Browns have been talking privately about the future of the offense. The messaging has shifted toward balance, timing, and trust. Those are not random buzzwords. They point directly to the type of receiver they want paired with Shedeur Sanders moving forward. This offense is being built on rhythm and precision, not freelancing or frustration. Receivers are expected to be exactly where they are supposed to be, run sharp routes, and finish plays. When that does not happen, the entire system breaks down, especially for a young quarterback still learning to read NFL defenses. The Browns believe Sanders can be special, but only if the environment around him stays stable. That means eliminating distractions and removing players who create unnecessary tension. From their perspective, the margin for error is small and patience is thinner than ever. Drafting a new wide receiver would send a clear message to the locker room. It would signal a full commitment to the future rather than loyalty to past expectations. Rookies come in hungry, willing to learn, and eager to prove themselves. That is the type of energy Cleveland wants injected into the offense right now. This is not about disrespecting a veteran. It is about accountability and alignment. When a team decides its quarterback is the priority, everything else becomes secondary. Receivers either help that mission or get replaced. As things stand, the Browns appear ready to turn the page. The upcoming draft gives them leverage, flexibility, and control. And if they hit on the right receiver, it could completely change the trajectory of this offense sooner than people expect. When you step back and look at the full picture, the writing on the wall is hard to ignore. The Browns are choosing a direction, and that direction is built around Shedeur Sanders. Everything else is secondary. Talent matters, but fit matters more. Effort matters more. Accountability matters more. This situation was never just about drops or missed routes. It was about trust. It was about whether the quarterback could rely on the people around him when the game sped up and the pressure hit. From Cleveland's perspective, that trust never fully formed, and once that happens, there is no real way back. The Browns believe they finally have a quarterback worth building around, and they are not going to repeat old mistakes. They have seen what happens when young QBs are left without support, without protection, without receivers who make their job easier. This time, they are trying to get it right from the start. That is why the draft matters so much. That is why the 6th overall pick is being talked about nonstop. And that is why Jerry Jeudy's future with the team feels more uncertain by the day. This is not personal, this is business. Cold, calculated, NFL business. Cleveland is chasing stability, growth, and a culture that actually works. They want players who buy in, show up, and move as one unit. Anyone who does not fit that vision is going to be left behind, no matter the name or the expectations that came with it. And if you want to stay ahead of stories like this before they blow up everywhere, that is exactly why Huddle Files exists. No recycled takes, no watered-down narratives. Just real breakdowns, real context, and the stuff you will not hear until it is already too late. Because in the NFL, the truth always comes out. The only question is whether you hear it early or after everything has already changed, and you already know. We'll have every second of it broken down, every twist, every leak, every hidden play behind the headlines. So subscribe, drop a comment, and share it out. Stay locked in with Huddle Files, where the real NFL stories live.